Peace, loves. True 5-star, your life driver. Checking in as I check myself. Excuse the lighting again. I'm still in the garage. Haven't even pulled out yet. I'm feeling wonderful, though. I'm feeling wonderful. I wanted to ask this. How do you keep your space? Do you pay attention to how you keep your space? Your mind space, the space you occupy, from your bedroom to your kitchen to your bathroom to your living room to all of that. Your space, your workspace, your desk, whatever, your truck, your bunk. Because my habits carried over into my bunk habits, which I was thankful. My habits, though, my good habits, were cultivated over time as far as how I keep my space, including my mind space, because I was not always so conscious of how I maintained my mind space, of how I maintained and steered my thoughts. And I'm still not perfect at that. I'm not perfect at that. I'm maybe not even excellent yet at that, but I am a work in progress. And for that, I'm thankful that I'm even progressing, and processing toward being better, being great in that area, in those areas. But I said all that to say, how are you keeping your space, maintaining your space, occupying the spaces that you find yourself in? Are you organizing? Are you taking pride in your space, guarding your space, making sure certain things are not allowed in your mind space or your home space or whatever? If you look at it from a spiritual perspective, which all things should be considered from a spiritual perspective, you may decide to omit some things from your space or spaces, your mind space, your various spaces. It's important, and it's important to cultivate that over time. A lot of things that I venture out to come on here and say and share, I've said before, this is way out of my comfort zone, but Spirit called me out, so here I am. And I know that a lot of my messages are for people younger than me, I know that. And I know that that is somewhat my ministry, if you will. For lack of a better term, that is somewhat of my ministry, is those younger than me, to be wise counsel to those younger than me, because of the road I've traveled and where I find myself today. It's way clearer now, what I am to be doing, and that is passing along what I've learned along my journey. And one is that is worthy of you taking the time to cultivate how you maintain your space and spaces. Quick example, might sound small and minuscule and silly to some, and to others you'll totally get it. Making my bed up every day. That was not something I always did. And I can be totally honest. I'm being transparent because that's what Spirit called me to do. And if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. If I was not going to be transparent, I just wouldn't have done this. But I know what Spirit called me to do, and I'm more obedient now than ever to Spirit. So here I am. I didn't always make my bed up. Like in my 20s, maybe somewhat into my 30s, maybe. I didn't find that a necessity to always make my bed up, which now sounds horrifying to me, absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable. But there was a time when I just didn't make my bed up every day. You know what I mean? I remember when Spirit started moving in that particular area in my life, pushing me, nudging me to take more care of my space. I've never been totally messy and disgusting to that degree per se, but I've been a bit, you know, like you might need to straighten this up a little bit. But I've never been like, I've seen some far degrees because I used to do home visits. At some point of my social services career, I was doing home visits. So I've seen some degrees, and I wasn't like all the way out there, but I wasn't Miss Neat, you know, Miss Nita Petita like I am now, you know. And I'm still not to the degree of being anal and obsessive about it, because I don't want to be that either. But I do like my space to represent me and how I'm feeling. Whether somebody's gonna see that space or not, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about how I'm feeling, and when things become in disarray around me, like when I see things like getting a little, I like to keep things in their proper place. And if I move it from that place, I'm gonna put it back in that proper place. If not immediately, eventually. So it's in that proper place, right? Same here, you know. And I feel like what's going on here is reflected on the outside of you, your mind space. What's going on in your mind space? If you're allowing that to be totally disorganized and disarray and negative and messy, your other spaces you occupy is going to reflect that. Now, in no way am I saying to be fake about it. Like, oh, let me make sure all my space is clean so, you know, it appears that I'm organized and I'm, you know, positive and whatever. No. Here first. And then allow that to reflect on the outside. So get your mind, get your thoughts in order. When something comes up that you know is not going to make you feel good, make you act right or whatever, you know, it's going to affect your positive nature, push that out. Allow that to float by like a thought cloud. Shift, don't stew. I did a video on that some months ago when I was in the truck. When I was living in the truck, I remember having that, like spirit gave me that shift, don't stew. Because out there, especially, I had to make sure, you know, that my thoughts were monitored. All that driving, you know, a lot of alone time, which, you know, that's not a bad, that can be a good thing. Because you get to know yourself when you are with yourself, you know. So before you can start to offer yourself to anybody else, you need to know yourself first, so you can make those adjustments or whatever you need to do within your character or your personality. But anyway, shift, don't stew. You know, shift from negative thoughts and vibrations. Don't stew in those. Let them pass. The positive ones that make you feel good and you be like, okay, you know, and make you smile, make your spirit happy or whatever. Have as many of those as you can. Let that be the precedence. And you will see, once you begin to practice that and cultivate that, that will affect everything outside of you. And that's what basically happened with me. Once I began to, you know, make the conscious effort to have certain thoughts, and I'm still working on it, I'm a work in progress, and speak in a certain way and choose my light. You know, I prefer to be light and peaceful and pleasant because I know the other end of the spectrum of that for me, and I don't like that. I lived in that for a while. You know, I was different than who I am today. You know, and I can admit that is a testimony for me. I was different. I was different than what I am today. You know, at the core of myself, I've always been this person, but she was not allowed to be because of, you know, I felt like I needed to protect myself. I was angry. I was fearful. You know, I was still living out what my early experiences were which were not always good. I don't want to cry in front of y'all. I'm not that much in my comfort zone yet. I mean, out of my comfort zone yet. So I digress. Anywho, I pray somebody gets this message and that it shifts you a little bit to start maintaining your space in a different way if you're not already in a positive vibration. You know, start to maintain your mind space in a different way. Peace, loves.